I want you to know why I have been putting out so much information. About bad judges, commissioners, and policemen. Or should I say law enforcement officers? I have provided enough evidence to prove at least reasonable doubt. The information that I provided was just basically through court hearings. When you have commissioners and judges denying people of their right to a fair hearing, that breaks down the justice system. I showed you the video of October the 15th, 2014, and you listen to the attorneys for beneficial stated that Judge Shepard denied me from getting my evidence that I needed to adequately defend myself. And he refused for 6 months, 2 times a month. A judge that does not judge fairly is not a judge or a commissioner at all. They are criminals. It put questions on every hearing, every trial that they presided over. The very least, it puts reasonable doubt. And that should be all it takes to get a lot of the trials and hearings thrown out. The evidence that I presented was overwhelming. Straight out lies and deceit. Gone out of their way to make sure that I wouldn't get a fair hearing. And according to the law, since they had denied repeatedly, any judgment made against me is not really valid. So Judge Shepard makes the whole system looks bad. I mentioned earlier that if you talk to Judge Wingate, he would tell you the truth. And I thanked him publicly for helping me understand. I recently provided tape of the commissioner's office in Louisville. The last commissioner that made rulings against us did not appear in these last 2 hearings. This lady, the master commissioner, was clearly the first time did not want to sign off on these papers that U.S. Bank needed to enforce a illegal foreclosure. In fact, it was asked numerous times that U.S. Bank, would they provide a contract at all? Not only if they did have a contract, it was still illegal. but they couldn't even produce a contract at all. I also provided information that Jack Law lied in that hearing, that when the judge told us to contact Jack, he stated that he never received it. But I recorded his voicemail so that I would have evidence, and it's posted as well. He wanted it cut off, me recording. I noticed that the commissioner did not mind me recording that session. Jack wanted to stop it because he knew that they were trying to do something illegal. But the master commissioner had let us record the session before, about a month and a half before that day, and it showed where they still refused to provide any evidence, and they still didn't produce a contract. So they could not enforce this illegal act unless the master commissioner signs off on it. Remind you that a month earlier, she wouldn't sign it, send it to the judge. He said he couldn't do nothing with it, send it back to the master commissioner's office. And now it appears that she was afraid. She was ruffling her papers. She wouldn't look at us in her eyes. And it appeared that Jack was running things. When he told her to turn things off, she let me know that it was kind of Jack running this. What I'm saying is, I believe that either Jack Law threatened her or U.S. Bank has threatened her. It was clearly a month earlier she did not want to sign this. And I truly believe she was forced, or was to be forced. Either way, without a legal contract, it is not valid. And now to the police or the law enforcement officers that did those heinous things, which was Sheriff Pat Milton, Ben Hankins, and Todd Smithers. These are the only three names that I mentioned in law enforcement. These three officers gives a bad name to good police officers. They make them look all bad. And it makes you question every case that they would bring to court. Every time they pull over someone and claims that they have done something illegal. And when you get someone like Pat Milton, which again amazes me that this man has not even apologized to my son, and how he's getting away with this, that when he goes to the extreme of waiting till my son leaves so that he can report a false statement against my son, and if it wasn't the fact that he was caught on tape, he would have gotten away with it. So if a sheriff that would go through this much trouble to get a man fired, a young man fired from his job, what about every person he pulls over? At least puts questions on that. How can you trust any of them? It makes it very, very difficult. They are as worse as any criminal they have ever arrested. And that sickens me. All the evidence that I got, majority of it, came from the Bible, the dictionary. It explained how wicked debt was, and that no man can judge another person and condemn him to sin. But one other thing that I discovered reading and studying the Bible, that it also revealed how to repair the bad economy. It explains it. It shows you how it can be stopped and made like new very quickly. And yes, I am not saying for anyone not to pay their debts. That is up to each and every individual. I can't tell a person not to pay his debt, nor can I tell a person to sin. All I did was show you that the power and authority was taken out of the hands of the commissioners and judges. And not only that, they cannot legally enforce a debt. That means that they cannot, the banks, the lending institutions, cannot touch your possessions. If they don't have a legal contract, they cannot take possession of your houses, your cars, seize your accounts, not legally. And there is a clause in your contract that guarantees you that you are able to sue for every dollar that you paid in that mortgage or car payment. It guarantees you that you can sue the bank. If you have your contract and you look at it, and if you can find a section where it has a penalty for failure to comply, that is a guaranteed requirement lawsuit against your lending institution. What I didn't know either is that they cannot have a penalty for failure to comply in an illegal, immoral contract. And it states it in the definition of debt itself, a common law action to recover money held to be due. Another dictionary states that it's an offense requiring reparation.